In the quiet corners of a bustling city, amidst streets filled with hurried footsteps and neon lights, there exists a persistent but often overlooked truth. Countless children are living on the margins, invisible to most and forgotten by many. These children, many of whom have been discarded by society, find themselves wandering the streets with little more than a tattered blanket or a newspaper for shelter. Their lives are a continuous struggle for survival, caught between the harsh realities of homelessness and the hope for a better future that rarely materializes. For these children, a moment of warmth or kindness can mean the difference between despair and a glimpse of hope, yet such moments are scarce and often fleeting. It is within this stark environment that stories of resilience, compassion, and unexpected change take root. Stories that challenge the notion that change must come from grand institutions or endless government programs. Amidst these stories, a remarkable narrative unfolds, one that defies conventional expectations about wealth, responsibility, and the potential to transform lives. It's about a man who once used a simple newspaper blanket to shield himself from the cold, who, through an extraordinary journey of determination and unforeseen fortune, manages to turn that humble beginning into a powerful force for good. His story is not just about accumulating wealth, but about redirecting it toward a cause that resonates deeply with the most vulnerable. What sets this story apart is not just the scale of his generosity, but the genuine belief that one individual can create a ripple effect, transforming entire communities and saving countless children from the streets. As a child, he faced hardship and adversity, but he carried within him a spark, a desire to make a tangible difference that grew as he matured and found success. This man's journey is a testament to how extraordinary circumstances can inspire extraordinary actions. His initial motivation was rooted in empathy and a recognition that the cycle of poverty and homelessness is not inevitable. Instead of turning away or dismissing these children as lost causes, he chose to see potential where others saw despair. With unwavering focus, he dedicated himself to designing a different future, one where children could find refuge, stability, and unconditional care. The number he eventually reached is staggering. More than 100 homes built specifically for children who had no place to call their own. Each home a symbol of hope, a sanctuary from the chaos of the streets, and a place where innocence could be preserved amid adversity. What's particularly compelling about this story is that it defies the predictable narrative of philanthropy rooted solely in donations or fleeting acts of charity. Instead, it emphasizes strategic investment, community engagement, and an unwavering commitment to the cause. It is a journey characterized by personal sacrifice, creative problem-solving, and an unwavering belief in the potential of every child to thrive, regardless of their past. The man's evolution from a couverture de journal, literally a newspaper blanket, symbolizes his humble beginnings, but it also underscores his transformation into a visionary leader. His story challenges the assumption that wealth only benefits the few. It demonstrates how wealth, when wielded with purpose, can be a catalyst for profound societal change. For those who hear it, it sparks questions about their own capacity for impact and reminds us that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness or the simplest ideas can grow into movements capable of shaping lives and rewriting destinies. This narrative invites the reader to reconsider the power of individual action, the importance of perseverance, and the enduring hope that even in the darkest circumstances, a single person's dedication can create a beacon of light for generations to come. Building upon the foundation of tangible structures and direct aid, it becomes imperative to recognize that true transformation extends far beyond physical comfort. Creating homes is undeniably vital, but sustainable change hinges upon fostering resilience and agency within these children. When they step into a space that offers safety, it must also serve as a launchpad for empowerment. This involves cultivating skills that enable them to navigate future challenges independently. For example, integrating vocational training, literacy programs, and emotional support into housing initiatives ensures these children don't merely survive, but learn to thrive. The significance of this approach lies in shifting focus from temporary relief to cultivating self-sufficiency, which in turn diminishes the likelihood of relapse into homelessness or destructive behaviors. Furthermore, understanding that trauma often underpins street life underscores the importance of mental health services as a core component of these shelters. Many children have endured abuse, neglect, or loss, which leaves scars that are not always visible but deeply influence their choices and outlooks. Addressing these wounds requires trained professionals capable of providing psychological first aid, counseling, and trauma recovery programs. When children feel heard and validated, their sense of self-worth begins to rebuild. In turn, they become more receptive to education, community involvement, and future ambitions. Here, the physical environment alone cannot heal deep-seated psychological damage. Comprehensive emotional care transforms the shelter from a mere refuge into a sanctuary for growth. Another nuanced aspect involves shifting societal perceptions to facilitate more inclusive integration of these children. Often neighborhoods containing such homes face prejudice or unwarranted suspicion, as if the mere presence of formerly homeless children threatens security or social harmony. Yet, this perspective ignores the potential for community cohesion to be strengthened through active inclusion rather than isolation. Engaging local residents in collaborative projects, such as neighborhood cleanups or cultural festivals, can foster a sense of shared ownership and mutual respect. When communities view these children not as burdens, but as individuals with untapped potential, it refines the collective narrative. This shift in attitude can lead to increased volunteerism, mentorship programs, and local investments that sustain long-term success. Another critical layer involves leveraging technology to enhance the reach and effectiveness of these initiatives. Digital platforms can streamline resource distribution, facilitate remote counseling, and connect children with educational opportunities beyond their immediate environment. For instance, virtual mentorship programs can pair children with professionals from various fields, broadening their horizons and inspiring ambitions previously considered out of reach. Additionally, data collection through digital means allows for more precise monitoring of progress, enabling tailored interventions that evolve in response to individual needs. Embracing technological innovation is not just about modernization. It is a strategic move to maximize impact, especially when resources are limited or geographically dispersed. Finally, contemplating the broader implications reveals a profound lesson about societal values and collective responsibility. The act of transforming a child's life from homelessness to hope is indicative of a community's commitment to its most vulnerable. It challenges the assumption that poverty and hardship are insurmountable, or that individual effort alone is sufficient. Instead, it underscores a shared moral obligation, one that requires sustained investment, compassion, and strategic foresight. When this is achieved, the cycle of despair begins to break, and society moves closer to a vision where every child, regardless of their start in life, is granted the opportunity to flourish. Such initiatives serve as a mirror reflecting what humanity values most: empathy, justice, and the unwavering belief that everyone deserves a chance to build a future worth living. Now, contemplate how the physical spaces themselves can serve as catalysts for broader social change when thoughtfully designed to foster interconnectedness. These homes, rather than isolated silos, can be arranged in ways that promote communal living, nurturing a sense of shared responsibility. Incorporating communal kitchens, gardens, and activity centers transforms these shelters into vibrant ecosystems where children learn cooperation and develop social skills naturally. Such environments act as microcosms of society, demonstrating that mutual reliance and teamwork underpin productive communities. This approach encourages residents to see themselves not merely as recipients of aid, but as active participants in cultivating their environment, thus reinforcing their self-efficacy. Building upon this, however, demands an understanding that sustainable transformation requires embedding lifelong learning opportunities within these living spaces. Instead of viewing education solely as classroom instruction, consider it as a continuous thread woven through daily routines. For example, establishing small workshops on financial literacy or entrepreneurship within the shelter's premises not only equips children with practical skills, but also ignites entrepreneurial spirits rooted in their unique realities. These informal learning modules can be tailored to their interests, whether it's computer coding, arts, or craftsmanship, thus nurturing passions that might otherwise be dismissed due to socioeconomic constraints. This approach emphasizes adaptability, recognizing that education extends beyond traditional schooling and must resonate with the cultural and personal identities of the children. Another vital perspective emphasizes the importance of fostering a sense of identity and cultural pride within these homes. When children experience environments where their backgrounds, languages, and traditions are celebrated, it cultivates confidence and resilience. Creating spaces that honor their heritage, perhaps through storytelling, cultural festivals, or art projects, affirms their sense of worth and belonging. Now, imagine how this can ripple outward. Children who grow up feeling proud of their roots are more likely to develop a positive self-image, which becomes a foundation for future relationships, employment, and community engagement. This recognition of cultural identity as a pillar of self-esteem is essential in breaking cycles of marginalization and systemic neglect, turning these homes into centers of empowerment as well as refuge. Furthermore, integrating innovative technology into these environments can redefine what support looks like for children in transitional living spaces. Digital tools not only facilitate access to education, but also create avenues for mentorship and peer connection across distances that mountainous terrains or remote regions might present. For instance, virtual mentorship programs can pair children with adults who serve as guides, role models, and motivators, regardless of geographic barriers. Digital storytelling platforms enable them to share their experiences, fostering resilience through expression. Now consider how this connectivity can forge a sense of belonging beyond the physical boundaries of the home, linking children to a wider community that recognizes their potential and propels them toward future success. These technologies act as bridges, transforming isolated shelters into hubs of global opportunity and support networks. In addition, the focus must extend to the long-term economic empowerment of these children once they leave the safety of the homes. Developing entrepreneurial mindset workshops and creating pathways toward financial independence can serve as a safeguard against relapse into vulnerability. For example, integrating microfinance initiatives or startup incubator programs tailored for young adults emerging from such environments can transform their newfound independence into sustainable livelihoods. Teaching financial discipline, risk management, and resourcefulness at this stage ensures they are not only dependent on external aid, but capable of shaping their destiny. Now think about how this autonomy influences broader societal attitudes. When former residents succeed economically, they challenge stereotypes about homelessness or instability, proving that with support and opportunity, resilience can lead to independence. Finally, envision a community that perceives its collective well-being as intertwined with the success of its most vulnerable members. When investments in these shelters include partnerships with local businesses, educational institutions, and health providers, a synergistic effect occurs. Each entity contributes unique assets, creating a safety net that is more resilient and adaptable. These collaborations turn isolated initiatives into dynamic ecosystems capable of responding to emerging needs, fostering innovation, and ensuring continuity. For instance, a local business sponsoring an internship program or a university offering mentorship projects can turn the concept of aid into a shared enterprise in social progress. The broader implication is clear. Lasting change arises from networks of mutual investment, where societal prosperity is measured by the upliftment of every individual, especially those who have faced the greatest adversities. This holistic approach underscores that rebuilding lives isn't solely about providing shelter. It's about cultivating a sustainable, interconnected society in which each person's growth reinforces the collective fabric. A vital dimension often overlooked in efforts to uplift vulnerable children lies in the creation of tailored programs that address their unique pathways toward reintegration into society. These pathways cannot be standardized. They must be dynamic, adaptable to individual trajectories shaped by personal histories, cultural backgrounds, and specific aspirations. Developing customized plans involves comprehensive assessments that go beyond surface-level needs, delving into each child's strengths, interests, and latent potentials. For example, a child with an innate talent for storytelling might be enrolled in media production workshops, transforming their passion into a future career, while another with a knack for mechanics could be mentored through apprenticeships that build real-world skills. Personalization acknowledges that every child's journey is distinct, and embracing this diversity fosters a sense of agency, allowing each individual to forge a sense of ownership over their development instead of feeling like just another case in a system. Building on this, however, calls for constructing stable but flexible support structures that extend well beyond initial placement. The concept here involves cultivating a network capable of responding to shifting circumstances, providing not only material assistance but also emotional resilience and mentorship on an ongoing basis. Imagine these structures as the framework of a safety net, not static but elastic, designed to stretch and rebound as needs evolve. For instance, periodic check-ins by dedicated social workers or community volunteers can help preempt crises, offering guidance tailored to stages of growth and challenges faced at different ages. This continuous engagement can prevent setbacks from becoming insurmountable, reinforcing stability rather than fragility. Moreover, integrating peer-led groups allows children to see themselves represented in leadership roles, fostering a culture of shared empowerment that operates as an internal scaffolding system, reinforcing their confidence and communal bonds. In addition, the focus must shift from merely preventing negative outcomes to actively cultivating positive life milestones that serve as markers of progress. Celebrating achievements, be it completing vocational training, securing a first job, or successfully mediating conflicts, serves as milestones that deepen their sense of accomplishment. These successes provide tangible proof that change is possible, translating into a renewed belief in their own capabilities. Now think about how this principle applies when you face a room full of children who have internalized rejection or despair. Highlighting small victories can serve as a powerful antidote, rewiring their internal narrative. Instead of perceiving failure as an endpoint, framing setbacks as part of a learning curve emphasizes resilience and perseverance. Establishing ceremonies or public acknowledgement for milestones achieved creates a community-wide recognition that these children are not defined by their past, but by their ongoing efforts and breakthroughs. Furthermore, it's essential to embed opportunities for children to build social capital, networks, relationships, and trust that extend beyond immediate caregivers or mentors. Developing partnerships with local businesses, religious institutions, and cultural organizations extends social support environments into broader societal spheres. These alliances act as bridges connecting children to different facets of community life, opening doors to internships, volunteer roles, or artistic collaborations that nurture a sense of belonging. Now, consider how this approach differs from simply placing children in programs. It actively involves the community as a stakeholder in their growth, transforming marginalized individuals into valued contributors. Such integration can help dispel stigmas, foster mutual understanding, and establish a collective ownership of success stories. As these children become embedded within diverse social fabrics, their identities expand beyond survival, evolving into active agents shaping their environments. Finally, enabling children to imagine multiple futures requires deliberate cultivation of their visions and ambitions. This involves creating spaces, be it workshops, storytelling sessions, or digital platforms, where they can articulate their hopes without fear of judgment. Encouraging envisioning exercises, such as future storytelling, allows children to conceptualize success on their own terms, challenging the limitations imposed by their circumstances. When they articulate ambitions, whether owning a small business, pursuing higher education, or contributing through activism, they begin to internalize that their aspirations are valid and attainable. These visions act as psychological anchors, providing motivation during difficult times and reinforcing their sense of purpose. Now, think of how this applies when you encounter a child who feels invisible or insignificant. Guiding them to articulate their dreams transforms their perception of self from a victim to a visionary, capable of influencing their own destiny. Cultivating this future-oriented mindset not only empowers individuals, but also seeds a collective optimism, breaking the cycle of despair and laying a foundation for generational change. Now, shift your perspective to how the environments within these homes can serve as fertile ground for cultivating emotional intelligence. Far beyond basic safety, these spaces must nurture the nuanced skills of empathy, self-awareness, and emotional regulation. Imagine creating dedicated zones where children can engage in reflective practices, journaling, guided discussions, or art that encourage them to identify and articulate their feelings. Such activities allow for the development of internal dialogue, fostering a sense of control amid chaos. When children become aware of their emotional states, they acquire a sense of agency. They start recognizing triggers and learning healthier responses. In this way, these homes evolve into living classrooms of emotional literacy, where the language of feelings becomes as familiar as the alphabet. ultimately empowering children to navigate future relationships and challenges with greater resilience. Furthermore, addressing trauma requires deliberate opportunities for sensorimotor integration, which involves reconnecting mind and body through physical activities that promote grounding and healing. Integrating practices like yoga, martial arts, or dance into daily routines can do more than burn off excess energy. They serve as gateways to regaining trust in one's body, which traumatic experiences may have betrayed. For instance, rhythmic movements and breathing exercises can act as anchors during moments of distress, helping children stabilize their nervous systems. This physical anchor then translates into mental stability, creating a feedback loop where bodily awareness enhances emotional regulation. Recognizing trauma's pervasive impact on the somatic level compels caregivers to incorporate these practices intentionally, transforming the home from a simple shelter into a sanctuary where healing becomes rooted in embodied experience. Another profound aspect is the intentional design of spaces that foster autonomy and independence through subtle cues. Consider how color schemes, furniture placement, and everyday routines can subtly encourage decision-making and self-reliance. Bright, inviting colors might stimulate optimism, while organizing belongings in accessible compartments emphasizes personal responsibility. For instance, teaching children to manage their own laundry, prepare simple meals, or plan daily schedules promotes mastery over personal life. These small, consistent acts cultivate a sense of competence, gradually building confidence that extends beyond the immediate environment. When children realize they control aspects of their day, they internalize the belief that they can influence their futures. This sense of agency becomes a powerful antidote to helplessness, fortifying their self-esteem and laying the groundwork for future independence. Now, consider how these environments can be a launchpad for peer-led initiatives that reinforce communal values. Unlike adult-led programs, peer-led activities operate on a different dynamic. They foster shared ownership and mutual understanding. For instance, older children can be trained as peer mentors, offering guidance rooted in their lived experiences. This peer mentorship can catalyze a culture of support where children see role models closer to their own age, which often feels more accessible than traditional authority figures. Furthermore, peer-led groups might organize their own projects, community cleanups, cultural nights, or skill-sharing workshops that subtly embed civic responsibility and collective effort. Such initiatives reinforce the idea that change is a collective endeavor, transforming the shelter into a small society where leadership is fluid and participation is a core value. Additionally, embedding skill-building modules that highlight creativity and innovation can open up new pathways for personal growth. When children are encouraged to craft solutions or invent projects, perhaps building simple devices, designing art installations, or developing entrepreneurial ideas, they activate cognitive and motivational centers that often remain dormant in conventional structures. Teaching problem-solving through hands-on experiments, for example, transforms abstract concepts into tangible experiences, sharpening critical thinking. These activities reinforce that they are capable of generating meaningful change, not just passively receiving aid. By fostering an environment where curiosity and inventiveness flourish, the homes become incubators of leadership, arming youth with tools to shape their community's future, while simultaneously nurturing a mindset geared towards continuous growth. Finally, the influence of sustained community involvement can magnify the impact of these environments. Far from isolated settings, these homes should be woven into the fabric of the broader neighborhood through ongoing collaborations. Imagine local businesses sponsoring after-school clubs, health clinics offering regular checkups tailored to the specific needs of the children, or cultural organizations providing opportunities for shared storytelling. These partnerships create a network of support where every entity contributes specialized expertise, making the process more resilient and adaptable. When community members actively participate in the lives of these children, they help forge a collective responsibility that extends past charitable acts. This interconnectedness can be a formidable force, discouraging stigmatization and fostering a sense of belonging that permeates every interaction. In doing so, the home evolves from a standalone refuge into an integral part of social fabric, a hub where the community's shared investment cultivates hope, inspires continuous involvement, and sustains progress well into the future. Drawing these strands together, we see a tapestry woven from threads of intentional design, deep understanding, and community integration, each reinforcing the others in a dynamic interplay. The images formed challenge us to view environments not merely as shelters, but as catalysts, spaces where growth, resilience, and identity are cultivated with deliberate purpose. When physical structures serve as platforms for emotional healing, social connection, and self-determination, they transcend their utilitarian function, becoming living ecosystems from which entire futures can emerge. This synthesis underscores that effective intervention is rarely a unidimensional act. Rather, it results from harmonizing multiple facets, mental, physical, social, and cultural, into a cohesive whole that propels individuals toward agency and independence. In light of these insights, the path forward becomes clearer, not as a straightforward route, but as a journey marked by nuanced understanding and adaptive strategies. Each element, whether it is fostering emotional intelligence, nurturing peer leadership, or establishing ongoing community bonds, acts as a vital component in an elaborate mechanism of transformation. Individually, they possess significance. Collectively, they form an intricate mosaic capable of addressing the complex realities faced by children navigating life on the margins. It is within this interconnected framework that true potential is unlocked, not through isolated acts of generosity, but through a sustained, holistic engagement that recognizes the profound interconnectedness of individual well-being and communal vitality. Reflecting on this journey so far, one cannot help but perceive the metaphor of a seed that, when planted in receptive soil, begins a process of exponential growth. The ideas explored resemble roots that deepen their grip in the earth, anchoring hope and resilience. When nurtured with intentionality, these roots extend outward, intertwining with others, fostering a robust network of support that sustains and amplifies individual development. This imagery underscores that the seeds of change are sown not in isolation, but within a fertile environment where every element, be it emotional, social, or structural, contributes to an upward collective trajectory. As we stand on this cusp of understanding, the realization emerges that fostering such dynamic ecosystems demands not only strategic planning, but a profound commitment to recognizing the inherent dignity and potential of each person involved. Ultimately, the culmination of these insights points us toward a compelling truth, that the most enduring change arises when every component, from personal agency to community participation, is harmonized into a single symphonic effort. The complexity of human experience resists reduction to simple solutions. Instead, it beckons us to craft environments that are as adaptable and resilient as the lives they aim to uplift. As we pivot towards the final reflection, it is essential to carry this awareness as a guiding principle, an understanding that sustainable progress springs from the cohesive integration of multiple dimensions, each reinforcing the other in a continuous, evolving dance of hope, effort, and transformation. The journey, while intricate, offers an inspiring view of what is possible when the collective consciously invests in nurturing not just homes, but the very essence of human resilience and potential.